Today, the Democrats have a redo on their spending bill as the U.S. posts the weakest economic growth since the pandemic. Also, the left really wants to indoctrinate your children into being transgender. You are not going to believe the latest. We've got all that and more coming up, and it all starts right now. Horrifying. Hi, welcome to the news and why it matters. I'm Sarah Gonzalez, and it is Thursday, which means the boys are back in town. We've, of course, got your favorites, and mine too.
Oh, yours too?
Mine too.
You just say that to all the boys.
Super
I've noticed that this week.
Pat Gray, really?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yep, we sent it to the Tuesday guys.
They're my favorite contributors.
Oh, we don't contribute anything.
No,
That's what she's saying.
Isn't that interesting?
Okay, that's interesting.
You're hosts, not contributors.
You know,
right?
all of this just hurts. That's
Yeah,
all I
right?
can say about
Right?
it. It hurts me.
Well, we're off to a great start here at the news and why it matters. So Joe Biden, the Democrats have gone back and forth for months now with their Build Back Better bill and the $3.5 trillion human infrastructure plan. And after all of that back and forth, we saw Joe Manchin, we saw Kirsten Sinema kind of say, hey, guys, this is actually, I think they're the only two sane people left in the party. And that's not to say that they couldn't become insane later. But as of right now, maybe the only two sane people left in the party just to stop and say, we probably should not be spending this much money on this much junk. So the Democrats have finally debuted an updated version of their Build Back Better spending plan, and they've scaled it back from the $3.5 trillion to a $1.75 trillion bill, which is, that's way better. Obviously, we can afford $1.75 trillion.
Everyone
right?
has that just laying around in their wallets.
Yeah, that's pocket change to the United States. So this one focuses on care for families. They say addressing the climate crisis, expanding access to health care, which I'm sure has something to do with letting women kill their babies on demand, lowering costs for the middle class, and tax reforms. They say it's dropping what was previously in the other one, paid family leave. It's keeping universal preschool as well as child care subsidies. It expands affordable housing, and I should use air quotes for that, affordable housing, and focuses on climate change policies, expands the social safety net. So the $3.5 trillion was not going to fly. They're going to see what they can do with the $1.75 modified proposal, but they'll obviously need full participation from the Democrats in order to pass in the House and in the Senate. So what, part of me is like, that's great. It's not the $3.5 trillion anymore. And then I'm like, yeah, but we still don't have the money, so we're still screwed.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's kind of my summary here.
Luckily, they did cut my favorite part of the human infrastructure plan, which was the matrix. They were just going to put us, we'll eventually just be running the entire society off the energy of humans and pods. That's the best part of human infrastructure. But that's right around the corner. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was kind of looking forward to that part of it.
It does seem better than this. I'm going to be honest with you. It's an interesting change. It does show that they're going to supposedly cut the bill. What does that mean? There are a couple of the programs that they're removing, like the family leave thing. Yeah. There's a couple pieces of it being removed that are actually good news in my mind. The cost is kind of, it doesn't really matter.
It's
we
still
don't have
money
the
we don't have.
It's money we don't have. And the way that they're cutting this from $3.5 trillion to $1.75 trillion is taking things that they had planned for 10 years of spending and acting as if they're only going to do it for 1 year. They did this with one of the child tax credits, for example. So they'll say, well, we're going to extend that for 1 year. Now, we all know what's going to happen at the end of the year, in the middle of an election. Is it going to be extended? Of course it's going to be extended. Yeah. So all of this money is actually being spent. It's just accounting tricks to make that big number come down. The Democrats wanted to please their progressive left by giving a big number. Instead, the number comes down so Joe Manchin can go back to West Virginia and say, look, I got that bill cut in half. I'm a sensible, moderate Democrat. In reality, the structure of this is what's really important, not the money. The money's really bad, but the structure is really, much worse. And that structure, the vast majority of it is there.
So Stu's not even, there's no good news, Stu says. It's like there's bad, and then there's also worse.
Yes.
So congratulations,
It's definitely not good news. I mean, it's better news than Bernie Sanders' pipe dream, right? It's not quite that, but it is very bad. We don't have the money to do it, especially off of just spending $7 trillion on COVID.
Whoa.
We really don't have the money for it.
Whoa. Hold on a second. Pat, I want to get your thoughts, but I would just like to refute something that Stu said, because I just heard from Joe Biden. Thank you. I just heard from Joe Biden today that this is fully paid for. Let's listen. Someone has to say it. Let's listen to Joe Biden today explaining this is totally fiscally responsible because it's all paid for. Watch.
Today, I'm pleased to announce that after months of tough and thoughtful negotiations, I think we have I know we have a historic economic framework.
You know.
I know.
It's a framework that will create millions of jobs, grow the economy, invest in our nation and our people, turn the climate crisis into an opportunity and put us on a path not only to compete, but to win the economic competition for the 21st century against China and every other major country in the world.
Yeah, right.
It's fiscally responsible. It's fully paid for.
Nah.
It's fully paid for. You heard it right there. It actually costs $0. The 1.75 that you see is just an illusion, Pat.
Right. It's going to cost $0. He keeps making the okay white supremacy sign. Have you noticed that? He didn't do it there, but he's done it multiple times during this discussion.
What?
I don't know why CNN hasn't called him out on the white supremacy sign, but he's done it multiple times. Anyway, it's going to cost $0, and so that's really great.
I don't know what you guys are complaining about.
We all knew Joe Manchin wasn't going to hold the line on this, right? I mean, he made a nice pretend effort. He stomped his foot and told him he wasn't going to go for $3.5 trillion and wouldn't go for anything more than $1.5. And now he's compromising at 1.75 because he had dinner with him in Delaware the other day. Wow. So everything's fine at his house.
Wow.
At his home. So you knew the minute he goes to his home, he's going to come back agreeing with it.
It's expensive dinner.
You knew that.
I will say that.
Yeah.
That's an expensive dinner right there.
1.75 trillion is what it's costing us.
Wow, that is an expensive dinner.
So I don't know. Maybe Kirsten Sinema will hold out, but I doubt it.
Yeah, they don't have on record either one of them actually agreeing to this yet, though.
But it looks like Manchin's in.
It looks like he's.
I always said, anytime we discuss all of this, and it's Manchin is the only holdout, and it's like, when Joe Manchin is the only thing between, saving the Republic and the Republic crumbling into ashes, that does not make me feel very comforted.
Joe Manchin will not save you. He
No.
never saves you. He
not.
always has a chance to be the deciding vote and never is. He just always somehow comes. There's always something that gets him to the table.
And it made it look like he was really going to hold the line this time.
He's written op-eds about it. It's not even just like comments in passing. He's written op-eds in major publications saying he wasn't going to do this, and he's doing it anyway because he always does this. This is who Joe Manchin is, and West Virginia, you keep doing this to the rest of the country. Thank you. Over and over and over and over again, you keep putting this guy back in our faces, and he keeps screwing us over and over and over and over again. And the way they say they're going to pay for this, it's not fiscally responsible. They say they're going to pay for it with this ridiculous corporate tax, which is going to make, as Biden said in this speech, 55 companies paid $0 in income tax, a number that is based on a liberal think tank's study. And guess how many of the tax returns of these companies this liberal think tank had?
I'm going to say none.
Zero.
They don't have any of their tax returns. They're guessing based on public information. They don't even have it. And this is all stuff on, it's based on deductions for things like employee salaries and research and development. It's like if you make $1 billion, but you spend $1 billion on research and development, like every other business in the world, you would have no profit, right? That's how that works. Even included in that are things like the green energy tax credits that they fought for. Right? Like you're saying they create a green energy tax credit, then a company takes advantage of it, and then they say, we're not paying taxes. What's wrong with these companies? You made the laws.
Yeah.
They're just scamming the American people as usual.
So let me, on that note, talking about taxes and the tax reform that the Democrats want. Joe Biden did mention, Stu, as you said in his speech, he did mention a little bit about taxes and calling for people, of course, this is what we hear all the time from the Democrats, it's time for people to pay their fair share. But don't worry, Joe Biden's a capitalist, so he says, watch.
As I said before, these plans are fiscally responsible. They are fully paid for.
No.
They don't add a
But if he
single
repeats
penny
it,
to the
then
deficit.
it makes it true.
They don't raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000 a year. In fact, they reduce the deficit. Here's how. I don't want to punish anyone's success. I'm a capitalist. I want everyone to be able to, if they want to be a millionaire or billionaire, to be able to seek their goal.
But never get
All
there.
I'm asking is pay your fair share. Pay your fair share.
Oh, I hate this.
Pay your fair share.
I can't.
And
What?
right now,
I didn't catch it
many are
the first 3
paying
times.
virtually nothing.
Oh my gosh.
The creepy, lean into the microphone
Creepy.
thing is so weird.
And he thinks it's good. He thinks it's amazing.
has to, he keeps
loves
doing
the
it.
whisper thing and the lean in thing.
It's
and
so
they're
weird.
both just so irritating.
So do we think that that he has someone on his team who's like, please stop doing that, and he just does it anyway?
I have to believe that's true.
Right?
Yeah, you have to.
He's like, I got it. Or maybe he just doesn't remember the conversation he had with
That's
them. I don't
very
know
possible.
Which one
Yeah,
is true?
he thinks that's effective. I mean, he thinks that's effective. That's his big exclamation point. It's his bold and underline. It's his way of really emphasizing something. Of course, what's so strange about this is this has been a liberal talking point for how many decades, yet they never can identify what this fair share is. We have the most progressive tax system in the world, basically. Europeans, they do tax more than us overall, but what they do in Europe is they also tax lower and middle class a lot, right? Like when you're making $60,000 a year in Norway, you're paying 30 and 40 and 50 and 60% tax rates. That's how they can make it. That's why they have a much less progressive system here. What we've done here is we keep the bottom half of all taxpayers paying nothing. No income tax rate. That number is actually above 50% right now because of COVID, but it's been, as we remember with Mitt Romney saying 47% back in that election. It's about right when it comes to federal income tax. And then we put all the pressure for all the stuff that we want on the wealthier people. And you can justify that morally if you want. I mean, I don't like it. I don't think it's a good system. I think everybody should have a little skin in the game. I think that's smart. Yeah. But if you're going to do it, you then can't complain about people not paying their fair share. A European system has an argument there, right, where you can say, well, you should be paying more than the people at the lower rates. But that's how percentages work. They're really convenient like that. Like they really do a good job in making people who make more money pay more money.
Right.
It's just a really simple thing. Our system is incredibly progressive. They want Elon Musk and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett to pay everything. It seems to be their end plan, and that's not going to work.
Yeah. Pat, I found it interesting. He said, I noticed he said, I want everyone to be able to, if they want to be able to be a millionaire or billionaire, to be able to seek their goal. He didn't actually say, I want you to be able to achieve that goal. He's like, I want you to keep working at that and keep giving the government money, but just don't think that you're ever actually going to get there because we're going to take all of your money before you do.
I love the lip service he's paying right now to capitalism and to caring about the people that he's trying to suck the blood out of. And I'll bet right now he's getting a lot of pushback from the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world. They don't want to pay that kind of tax rate. They don't want to be hit with another 15% billionaire tax. I mean, how is any of that fair? And then they're going to start taxing them on their unrealized capital gains? Yeah. That's insanity. That's not even liquid asset.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to tax, for instance, just the other day, Elon Musk's net worth went up $32.6 billion in one day. But he didn't see that. That's not in his pocket. That's not in his bank account. That's just what his company is worth and what his stock is now worth. And so in order to pay a tax on that, he'd have to sell that stock. right?
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's
insane.
It's ridiculous. And now they say they've removed that out of this bill. We'll see if that actually sticks or not. Part of me kind of wants it to be in there just because when Tesla stock goes down, I want our country to write Elon Musk a check for $8 billion. just
Except
because
that would never happen.
Well, it would have to be part of this because, and this is like how they manipulate these numbers, right? If you make a big profit one year and you make less another year, we have a lot of laws that let you smooth out those profits so that they're not over the top.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why they keep saying this about the companies. All these things, we as a country pass laws to incentivize companies to do things like research and development. What we say is, hey, we won't take your tax money, but instead do research to grow your company, to grow jobs, to help grow the economy. We tell them we want them to do it. Then they do it, and these guys come out on television and bitch about it. It's so infuriating. These are their laws. They pass them for specific reasons. Even like the green energy thing. That's not a thing that I want them to be spending money on, but they're giving them money to do that, and then they're acting as if they're ripping off America when they take advantage of the laws these idiots passed.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was when they were still in Congress 100 years ago. They don't remember that. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar. So I mentioned this the other day, but I finally tried the blueberry muffin. Have you tried it?
No, I haven't seen the blueberry muffin.
Okay. I think I still have them in my dressing room. I'll get you some to try it. It's so good. They also just came out with a new puff flavor that's paranormal pumpkin, just in time for Halloween. But Built Bar is what you need in your life if you like to snack on stuff and maybe have a sweet tooth.
Which one's your favorite?
God, that's so hard to pick. Probably the coconut puff.
Do you tell Cherry Garcia that he's your favorite? Is that what you do? Is that what you do, Sarah? Do you tell the other flavors that they're your favorites?
No.
Is that only on Tuesdays she does that?
Maybe. But Built Bar is it's really, really delicious, and it's high in protein, it's low in calories, and it doesn't get hurt feelings whenever you have conversations with other people and you don't know that the other ones are listening. You can go to built.com. If you use promo code NEWS15, you'll save 15% off of your first order. You've got to go get a mixed box if you're not sure of the flavor that you want. Go to built.com, use promo code NEWS15. So we just talked about this spending bill that the Democrats have planned for us. And of course, they want to spend all of this money at the same time that economic growth in the country slowed more than expected in the third quarter to the softest pace of the pandemic recovery period with all of the supply chains. And, there are surges of COVID cases, up north now, which I feel like was kind of like predicted by anyone who looked at seasonality and how this was going to affect places. But Anthony Fauci didn't say it, so who would have guessed? So gross domestic product expanded at a 2% annualized rate following a 6.7% pace in the second quarter. This is from the Commerce Department's preliminary estimate. So we've got all of these great economic numbers at the same time that the Democrats want to spend all of this money. And we're seeing inflation. And then, of course, consumer goods maker Kimberly-Clark plans to raise prices for the second time this year, which you may recognize that brand because it's probably who makes your toilet paper. So you're going to be, look, when I say that the Biden administration just makes things I really mean.
Oh, the editors hate you.
I really mean. Come on, you couldn't expect me to not go for that joke.
No,
it's about toilet paper.
It was legally mandated.
It was.
That's true. It's funny because first of all, this inflation doesn't seem to be all that transitory. We kept hearing it was going to come and go, and everything was going to be fine.
And also that it was actually a good thing.
It's actually a good thing. And then in the speech today, Biden said, actually, all these new policies are going to help inflation. The multiple trillions of dollars are going to lower inflation. We'll let you work out the math on that on your own time.
And it's paid for.
Yeah, but it's interesting because we obviously have gone through the last couple of years have been crazy, right? With COVID and all the interruptions, some of it I think really bad, some of it self-inflicted. But we've all known that this has been a really rough time, and we really haven't paid the price for it. It's like you look at in the speech he talked about how these payments that he's giving to families are going to take 50% of kids out of poverty. And like, you know, in some ways you would say, okay, well, some of that makes sense, right? Like if we just throw money at people constantly, no one's in poverty, right? I guess if we had just kept printing money until we get to that hyperinflation point, everyone's out of poverty. Zimbabwe was getting trillions and trillions of dollars a day. You know, I mean, it was people were they loved it. They got $1 trillion bills. But at some point that runs out, and at some point you have to pay the piper. And the fact that we've gone through and had said $7 trillion plus in spending for COVID. We've gone through that period. We were able to prop up the economy in a lot of these, particularly blue states, that stayed closed even when there weren't terrible outbreaks. And then now we're getting to that point where they want to spend trillions of dollars more. You just can't do this forever.
Yeah.
And we have not really had the pain that you would think would be associated with shutting down a country's economy for a year. It's been rough at times, and we've all dealt with the terrible consequences, but this is a serious thing we've gone through here. When you shut down businesses across the country for a really long period of time, you're going to have some consequences from that. And you can spend your way out of that for a while. When you lose a job, you can borrow on credit cards for a while and maintain your lifestyle. But at some point, you hit those limits. And I mean, it certainly seems like we're there.
Well, it's also, Pat, it it blows my mind that the Biden administration fails to recognize that when prices raise if a company is having to spend more money, they are going to raise their prices. As you see Kimberly Clark, I mentioned, as they make Kleenex and toilet paper and all those things. But I mean, obviously they're far from the only company who is having to raise their prices to compensate for everything else, and they don't factor that into, especially when they say, even if you believed the lie that no one making under $400,000 would be taxed more, would have to pay more money. Well, yes, they would in all of these types of things.
It's been really interesting to be in this inflation thing first person, because we make a food product. And so we use a whole bunch of ingredients that have all gone double and triple in cost. And, the reason that grocery store CEOs and others are saying, okay, look, by next spring, things are going to go way up. It's because you eat it for a while. You do eat that cost increase. At least we have up until now, and we still are, actually. But eventually, we're going to start losing money, and we can't stay in business if we lose money.
So what you're saying is you're a greedy business owner.
I'm a greedy bastard who isn't going to keep doing it at the same price when all my costs have gone up. You can't do that and stay in business. And I think it was Jen Psaki that said that they expect businesses to do just that. Why would they do that? It doesn't make any sense for them to raise the price. Well, they have to. They have to. We're going to have to eventually raise the price.
I think it was some insulting remark. She said something like, that's absurd and unfair or something. It's like, so it's fair for the company to just go out of business because they can't maintain their profit margins?
Right. It's like they don't understand the market at all.
Yeah.
On a very basic level, too.
Either that, or they do understand it and they're just purposely doing this to tank everything.
True.
Who knows?
And if I could just take a moment to say that I'm very nervous about the future of Pat's family, that he went through that whole story without saying Kexi.com. He didn't even mention, he just said, we are having higher costs and not raising prices. We have a company. He doesn't even mention the name of his own company. And that's what's wrong with the economy. It's people like Pat who go on shows, who tell the whole story about their great cookies, and then don't say Kexi.com.
Wow.
Which actually really do. They have the best cookies ever.
Thank you.
Best cookies ever.
It is true.
But I mean, in all seriousness, you are a great example of this. It's like, Pat's
small business owner.
Right. Pat's not Elon Musk
right.
or Jeff Bezos.
Right.
It's just a small business owner.
And we're the people that are making the $400,000 a year.
Yeah.
A little bit more than that. Yeah. And getting taxed out of business on that.
Right. Right.
It's outrageous. And then expected also to eat all the costs of the increased cost of doing business. It just doesn't make any sense anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, people aren't going to get into business anymore.
Right. Well, I mean, Joe Biden, again, says he wants people to try to become a millionaire and billionaire.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Come on.
No, probably.
Yeah, they don't want you to get there because then you're evil.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, I mean,
Unless you're one of them.
Yes.
Half the party has basically come out and said we don't think billionaires should exist.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's trying to walk this line and saying, like, I'm not AOC, I'm not Elizabeth Warren, I'm Joe Biden. Remember how you guys liked me when I acted like I was moderate? That's what he's trying to walk here by saying the words "I am a capitalist" means nothing to us because we know he's not, but it does mean something to the AOCs of the world. He's trying to distance himself, but I don't think anybody believes it. I don't think the people in the middle of this country who actually have worked in a world where capitalism is important to them. It's not important to you when you're a senator. I mean, when you're a senator and you've been in office since 1972, this stuff doesn't connect to you at all. You're not shipping cookies around. You're not making makeup. You're not doing the things that business owners are doing. You're living in a different world.
Right. By the way, that makeup can be found at AmericanBeautyBySarah.com.
That's how you do it,
Nice,
Pat.
there you go.
That's how you do it.
AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. No H in Sarah because it's just an extra letter. It's unnecessary. Nobody even pronounces it. All right, we've got more to come. But first, a message from our sponsor. There is a new Audible original. It is called Bad Republican by Meghan McCain. In her debut audio memoir, she, of course, is the departing co-host of The View, Meghan McCain, gives the listener a firsthand look into the life of a conservative rebel. You can hear what it's like to grow up as the daughter of John McCain, of course, what it's like to mourn his loss, go behind the scenes of America's most watched daytime talk show. Find out.
That's what
I want to know, honestly. I want to know how she didn't lose her ever-loving mind.
She seems to indicate she kind of did.
It
was bad,
I don't know how you don't end up in the loony bin having to deal with Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar.
And they bullied her.
Really badly. So find out what it's like, listen to her thoughts on things like cancel culture, dating, how our country treats new mothers, which she and I had our babies around the same time. And it's been interesting seeing her, hearing her relate to things at the same time that I am relating to them with the new one. You can go beyond TV and your newsfeed. Go to audible.com/badrepublican. That is audible.com/badrepublican. Start listening now. Marlise Davidson, who is the president of Los Alamitos Unified School District Board of Education, was apparently picked up on a microphone during a school board meeting cursing at a parent. Have you guys heard the story?
I heard about it. I haven't heard the actual audio.
It's so enraging. So this woman, there was a parent up and speaking at the microphone who raised concerns over the mask mandates that were placed on the students. And she also questioned the decision to give the COVID vaccine to children. Okay, so I don't believe an anti-vaxxer, just like, hey, we probably shouldn't give this to children, arguing that the risks far outweigh the benefits. And she accused one member of the education board of criticizing parents as selfish. And as she's speaking, the school board president's like, well, I'll just let you, I don't want to get in trouble again, so I'll just let you listen yourself.
If you remember parents pounding on walls at the state capitol in 2019 in hopes that their voices would be heard, their voices were shamed, kind of like Scott just said. We are selfish for being vocal. Scott, we are vocal because we are our children's biggest advocates. Okay? Choose your own path, Scott. Choose your own path. That was very rude of you to say parents are selfish. You say
Margaret's next. Thank you. Your time's up.
Yeah, so that was a F you.
Wow.
Except she said it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, to the parents. So the president of this Board of Education just cursing at a parent for expressing her opinion at her own school board meeting. Now, she has apologized, of course. After she was caught on the hot mic. She said, she said, I reaffirm that she's sorry, and she said, I reaffirm my commitment to serve our community with dignity and integrity, and I hope they will accept my sincere apology. Guys, this is what these people think of you and your children.
Yeah.
Stop sending them.
Yeah.
Yes, amen.
Please stop sending them to these hellholes. Please.
Or you could do what Southlake has done multiple times, and they're trying to do it, I think, again in the upcoming election. Southlake in the greater DFW area, a really nice community, and they had problems with their school board. So 3 of the parents ran against 3 of the school board members. All of them won, and I think the lowest margin of victory was 70 to 30%. They crushed these people.
Yeah.
And they're about to do it again. And so they're just retaking their school board from these idiots.
Yeah.
So there's that. Or you could get involved with your children's education by homeschooling.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what the alternative is. Look at how they think about you.
Just send them off to like Michigan.
Boarding school.
Yeah.
Right. And that's my
Military
thing.
school.
It's like, have they completely forgotten who pays their damn checks?
Absolutely, they have.
I think they have.
They don't care.
Yeah,
don't care.
they somehow, it's like our lawmakers in Washington, they somehow have it in reverse, that we are somehow the servants to them, and they are not supposed to be the public servants to us.
Yeah, when you don't prioritize personal liberty, you set up these situations to happen. I mean, like, you know, these policies are creating a circumstance in which the school board is supposed to sit up there and enforce them. And the people, half the parents want them enforced and are pissed off if your kid doesn't show up with a mask and vaccine. And the other half is pissed off because they don't want it. And you're creating this situation where conflict is almost a necessity. Yeah. And when instead, if you emphasize personal liberty, everyone can make a different choice and everyone can go about their own lives. I think that's the better way to go. Although I will say, I think your answer is actually much better than mine, which is get your kids out of these schools if it's at all humanly possible.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah. This is where we can win on from town to town. In some circumstances, we can win here and there and everywhere in bits and pieces. But like long term, the government being in control of your kids' education is a bad idea.
Yeah.
And because of the way this is set up, because everyone has to pay taxes, and it's impossible for a lot of people to be able to do it. But we're moving in the right direction on that, and there's some great charities that are starting up to be able to make that easier for particularly conservative parents to be able to get their kids out of here, even if they can't afford it, because it's that important. It's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue maybe that we need both happening at the same time.
Yeah,
right. Like because we still do need. I mean, the left has been so great at infiltrating school boards and all of these local, places, local levels.
And we're seeing the results of that.
Yes. And conservatives, I think, are too busy. We're like, I'm too busy working and raising my family. I don't have time to go run for school board. But it's a necessity if we want to take our cities back even. All right, while we're on the topic of COVID and, masks and vaccines and all that, since I have Mr. Vaccine here.
Thank you.
I wanted to also bring up, I just saw this headline while we were here sitting during break. The CDC said now that the immunocompromised people may receive a 4th dose of the COVID-19 vaccine.
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
A 4th dose.
And do you think a 5th dose is not going to be talked about and approved soon?
I just want to know when. I mean, this has got to be a record here. It just was released in January, and they were like, you just need the 2 shots, and by the way, it's going to prevent the virus. And then they were like, well, you may need a booster. By the way, it's not going to prevent it at all. You just may have less severe symptoms. Wait, you also may need a 4th shot. In fact, just keep getting shots for the rest of your life.
You mean like the flu shot that I get every year?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, no, but hold on. Mm-hmm. But it was just brought out in what, January? Mm-hmm. Released to general public what?
But like
March, and it's now, hold on. It's now October.
Mm-hmm. Don't let him talk.
And we're on shot 4. It's now October, and we're on shot 4. So you cannot compare this to the annual flu shot.
No,
this is not once per year. This is already loading 4 into someone's system in less than a year.
Not really a vaccine. Right?
Well, it's like a guess. Yeah, they guess the strains.
Yeah. When do I get?
Go ahead.
Never.
Okay. No, look. Here's the thing. I won't even bother. It's your show. I won't even bother going through all of the things that I would say that I would slightly disagree with some of the things you've said. But what I would say is no policy that you, Sarah Gonzalez, would implement would prevent me from getting the vaccine. No policy that you would implement would make me not be able to get it.
That's
and
true.
that is, again, goes back to that same point on personal liberty. It's like you should be able to look at this data and say, you know what, I don't like it. And I should be able to look at it and say, I do. and then we should be able to do our own freaking thing.
Right.
And I thought that was America. I thought that's where we were. I mean, again, we're at a point where 80% of adults, not are considering the vaccine, not are thinking they might get it someday, have already received it. 80%. That is beyond.
That's way beyond what I thought would happen.
But in
I
America,
about 60, 65, 80% is really good.
Well,
to your point,
I mean, when
it's-
you tell them you're going to mandate it for everyone,
but they haven't mandated it yet, right? And we're at 80% already, which is one of my big arguments against a mandate.
Right.
You don't need it.
Right.
People got it. When this thing first started, only 34% of people said they would be first in line to get it. Okay? There's another 39% that said, hey, I'm going to consider it. We'll wait and see what happened. All of those people have gotten it. There was another group I think it was 9% of people who said, I will only get it if I'm forced. We're up to that level now already. And they're complaining as if no one's taking it. It's like, what do you expect? People are going to disagree, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You need to be able to sit back and say, look, here's the product that we have. We think it does a good job. Here's why we think it does a good job. Sarah will say, I think it sucks. This is why I'm not going to take it. And then we can all just go about our lives. Yeah. It's when you try to enforce your views on everybody else and make their decisions for them, when you run into these problems and you see these battles at the school boards and you see everybody hating each other. There's no need for it. Yeah. There is no need for it. Take it if you want it. Don't take it if you don't want it.
Yeah, Pat, last word on this. The CDC and all of these figureheads over at the federal government can't imagine why there's vaccine hesitancy.
Yeah,
and they're like, well, you may need it. Well, you may need another one. Well, the third one may not have worked.
And we're expected to get it now to protect those who are already supposedly protected. Right. Why? Right. Why? If you're protected, why do I have to protect you?
I agree with that.
It's
I
asinine.
Totally agree.
They need double, triple protection sometimes.
Well, I mean, what is the efficacy rate now on Pfizer and Moderna? Is it 67, somewhere
So you're
in there?
about 6 times as likely to get COVID if you're unvaccinated, and about 11 times as likely to die.
But how many people, how many vaccinated are having the breakthrough cases?
It's about 1 out of every 7 is a breakthrough. So it's
are we calling that a breakthrough, or are we just calling that
1 out of 7 is 14%.
14%.
So 86% of cases are unvaccinated
people. That's not huge.
No.
We shouldn't be berated like this and made to feel like we're murderers, that we're carrying around an active chainsaw and cutting people in half.
I mean, if you wanted to make that argument, and I know we got to go to break, but if you wanted to make that argument, I would say, wouldn't you call the people who, and I'm not saying this, but I'm just saying, wouldn't you then call the people who are vaccinated the murderers because they're walking around not knowing that they are spreading it because their symptoms are less severe, right? They're like, oh, I just have a headache. It's fine. I got vaccinated. I'll go to the grocery store. I'll go to a bridal shower. I'll go to a restaurant. And they're the ones.
And they're spilling their spike protein all over the tables and stuff.
Maybe
I don't want
we
your
don't call
spike protein.
Yes.
Maybe
keep your
we
spike protein away.
I'm going to save the term murderer for, I don't know, people committing abortions. I'm going to keep it for those. Those people deserve it.
I agree.
Let's
I'm just saying.
that way.
All right, fine. We're ending the segment. We'll be right back. But I'm staying angry.
Yes.
We're still talking about vaccines here. A new Halloween-themed commercial for Twix candy bars.
Oh, you're gonna love this. Have you seen it yet?
No, I read about
good.
it, but I haven't seen it. So it apparently features a transgender child and
her nanny.
Okay. I
mean, his nanny.
Well,
his nanny.
Wait. I need a flow chart for the. I don't. I'm already confused. Let's go ahead and watch it.
You buckled?
I'm still wearing my princess dress.
Do you want to wear it?
Oh, they've cut out a lot of it. Wow.
Hey,
now watch what happens.
Princess! You look like a girl. Why are you wearing that? Dressing like this makes me feel good. Is that your nanny? She looks weird. You look weird, your nanny looks weird, you guys are both weird. No, we're just different. Boys don't wear dresses. Whoa! Whoa! Where is it coming from? What's happening? Ow!
Okay, so they killed the kid.
Oh!
We should go.
Will he come back?
Will he come back?
Yeah, probably.
Probably. Well, I don't know. Might be dead. I don't know. I may have killed him because he backsassed me. But you know what? He deserved it because he said we were weird. So that's your Twix
the
commercial.
hell did
Happy
I just
Halloween
watch?
that
from
was really
Twix. Is that bizarre?
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
which again are all acceptable and you would think like reasonable things for kids to, I mean, you don't want to bully people, but like they're like,
But-
you're wearing a dress. Why are you wearing a dress? You're
Right.
a dude. Like these are all normal kid things to say.
Yes.
And that's what Twix doesn't want you to think anymore. Okay, they want to change
It's
your
not
opinion.
normal.
Twix can tell you the cookie
When you
and
see
the
a little
caramel
boy in a
coming
dress,
together.
you're supposed to immediately think, that
That's
is
normal.
wonderful.
It's
That's
beautiful.
a really good choice.
Whatever you want to do.
That's
now,
a really
look,
good
can we
choice.
not call the nanny weird though? First of all, she is dressed like a psycho, and second of all, she just killed a child. Can I not call that person weird?
Yeah.
Is that okay to call them weird?
I think it is.
Like
So
again,
I
like
think it is.
and like, does Twix really think this helps them?
That's why I'm like, I just
Probably
like,
they're woke now, right?
it's a
They're
junk
woke.
candy bar that maybe people want to eat for Halloween. Could
Yeah.
you just stick to like your brand here?
I know.
We did a segment on last night's show about baseball and all the woke stuff that was going on with it. And I went through the Coinbase statement that they sent to their employees. I don't know if you know the story. It's from a few months ago. But they basically were noticing what every company was noticing. Everybody's fighting with each other on George Floyd and all this other stuff. And they just let out the statement. It's like, hey, here's what we're going to do. If it's about crypto and it's a law, we'll talk about that and we will have a position on that. If it's not, just do it at home. Like, don't do it here. No more fighting about social justice here. We might even agree on all of this, but we don't know what path. We might not agree on how to do it. So therefore, we're going to keep to our mission here. And like that is
Wow.
a statement that every company should release.
Yes.
You know what? Like I don't need them. Like I love companies, and we do business with a lot of them that say, hey, we're conservatives and we want to serve conservatives. I love those companies. They're great. But like. Also, I love companies that just don't want anything to do with it. Just freaking let me serve you a hamburger or a Twix bar or whatever it is. That's the right way to do it. And so many companies are terrified. They feel like they have to please this woke monster when if they're just upfront and honest about it, you're never going to hear a comment about bathroom policy from us because we don't make bathrooms.
Right.
So don't expect it. We're not going to represent your views publicly. That's not what we do here.
Yeah.
And be upfront about it.
Well, those companies that you mentioned, Stu, I feel like people can find them at Kexi.com. That is a company,
Yes.
they want to sell cookies.
Wasn't there a
Yes.
company?
And they're not looking
correct.
to, what?
Wasn't there a company too where it didn't have an H at the end? I just remember it ended with an A.
Oh,
it was a
yeah. It's a makeup brand. It's American Beauty by Sarah.
no H. though.
No H.
No H.
dot
okay.
com.
Look, the H is a waste.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just
You're
an extra
wasting
letter.
consonants.
Two companies, if you are looking to put your dollars to just give to, not even just, it's like, you will give it to a conservative company, but just a company who doesn't hate you, who is not trying to change your opinion on anything, you just want to support those companies. And I mean, we may be biased, but I'm just saying.
But there's two of them right there.
Right there. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back.
I need to start a company. I know. Sad.
All right, those of you who are watching on YouTube, BlazeTV, Pluto TV, wherever you are watching this, Facebook, if you have not yet, look, I know how many people are watching, and you all have not gone over to where you get your audio podcasts and subscribed, rated, and reviewed The News and Why It Matters. It will help us in the algorithms, which we know are already stacked against us, and you may see it read live on air like the one today from, okay, well, that's weird because it has 3 6s, but then it says Halo. So I'm
Very
really
confused individual.
I'm very confused as to where you stand and what point you're making. But we appreciate you because you gave us 5 stars. God bless America. Discourse is important to a civil, prosperous nation and its freedoms and liberties. Thank you for the content, and thank you for standing fearless, aware, and tall, and of course, followed by American flag emojis. So we appreciate it. Those American flag emojis just made me think of AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. Women who love America.
That's amazing.
Also, I just feel like I need to say Kexi.com.
Kexi.com.
Yeah. For American cookies.
The best.
American
in the
made.
world.
And Stu'sFlamethrowers.net.